one player who put in a magnificent performance at the weekend was Ethan Nwaneri. First assist for Arsenal for that Merino header, 7 successful dribbles. In that first half, you always thought he was going to be the player to make something happen. Just phenomenal, and still just 17 years old. I was watching him in that first half especially, and I said to myself, this is like watching Lionel Messi. And then Joe Cole after the game says, it's like watching Lionel Messi. And of course, that's the highest praise imaginable. It's so easy to forget that he is still 17 years old. He's still growing, he's still developing, and you don't want to pile too much pressure on him. But he seems to be, certainly against Leicester, he seemed to relish the fact that he was under this pressure and like, okay, I'm a 17-year-old kid, but I can win this game for Arsenal.
Yeah, no, I've seen nothing phase him at all since he's come into the first team picture. He was outstanding, when everyone else was struggling. And I think that's the sign of an even, real special talent is when players around you are struggling and yet you are the shining light. It just shows how good he is. And he was exceptional. Every time he got the ball, he looked like something was going to happen. Um, he was so unlucky. How he didn't score in that game, I have no idea. He was so unlucky, but he still delivered the crucial moment, kept his head, produced a wonderful pass for Marino to break the deadlock. And as I said, nothing seems to phase him. I've seen lots of good young players come through at Arsenal over the last 30 years. Real special talents from Anelka when he emerged, Cesc, obviously Jack, all those sort of players. And Ranieri's up there. The way he's taken to this and the way he looks perfectly at home in any situation you put him in, whether it's in the cup, in the league, in the Champions League. Now, he just does not look out of place. Well, it's not just he doesn't look out of place. He looks born to be there. He's a special, special talent, and he was fantastic at the weekend. And he kind of reminds me a bit of Anelka when Anelka broke through. You sort of compare him to Miles Lewis Skelly's. Obviously, they come through at the same time as him, and two real young kids, but very different characters. Lewis Skelly's got that sort of, I don't know, that real confident look about him. He smiles a lot. Ethan's different. He's a lot more serious, and that's kind of when Anelka came through. He was very much like that. He was known as kind of the loner. And I'm not saying Ethan is, but he was just very focused. It was all about football and move on. For example, when Ethan hit the post with that shot on the right with his right foot, there was no hands to the head or anything like that. It was just like he didn't break stride. It was just straight over to sort of carry on because the ball went behind for a corner. And he's got this air of I can't really describe what I mean when he's just got this air about him where it's just all about the football. It's about, right, I'm going to score. I'm going to do something. If this doesn't work, I'm going to do it again. I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. And yeah, he's a special, special talent. He really is. And yeah, Arsenal very, very lucky to have him.
They are indeed. Yeah, I think the young kids use the word aura. I'm not sure if that's just reserved for centre backs like Sleep and Van Dijk, but he's certainly got that special. He's got that. We spoke last month about. I'm certainly not saying Arsenal don't need a new attacker, but about Arsenal needing an X factor attacker to conjure something out of nothing. Is Nwaneri
He's
that
that.
X factor attacker?
He's absolutely that. You can see, a shot from anywhere. He'll score from anywhere and he'll take it on left foot, right foot. I love the fact he took that shot on his right foot when he hit the post against Leicester. And he took it really, really well. And he's shown a couple of deliveries with his right foot as well that although left foot is obviously his strongest, he can go out wide. And that's great because if you're a defender and he's just going to cut inside your left foot, it becomes a little bit easier to deal with. But if he's got that threat of going on the right, then it's fantastic. And he does absolutely have that aura. And Arsenal have looked for an X Factor player for a long, long time. The club have been searching in the market for one. They haven't been able to find someone that they've really wanted or been able to get. And now suddenly you've got this kid come through who is exactly that, who will open a game up out of absolutely nothing if needs be. So yeah, he's 100% that X Factor player. I still think they need more of them. I'm intrigued at what happens when Saka comes back. Like, what do you do with Ethan Nwaneri when Saka comes back? Because you're going to play Bukayo Saka. But how do you leave Ethan Nwaneri out of the team at the moment? You've got to surely find a way of involving him and having those two together. And how do you do that when you've got Martin Odegaard in that 10 role? Could the left side be an option for him? You kind of think no, because he's so strong cutting in on his left foot and having that trademark finish that we've seen from him. But I really want to find a way of being able to get all those three players on a pitch because I think it'd be a completely different Arsenal side in attack if you can manage it.
I mean, you've just answered my next question there, actually. I was going to say, when Saka comes back, is he still a guarantee, Saka? Because Arteta spoke after the game. You still need to protect Nwaneri because of his age, but Arteta was saying that when a player's playing that well, you don't want to take him out of the starting lineup. And like I say, what Saka gives to the team on set pieces and everything else, you don't want to lose that, but at the same time, you don't want to lose what Nwaneri's giving. And unless he plays that, I think you look at Odegaard especially. You spoke there about Nwaneri going on his weak foot. I feel like Odegaard is very hesitant to do that. He always tries to go on his left, so Nwaneri could be an alternative there. Or Mikel's spoken about Nwaneri going up front. So could we see Odegaard in that 10, Saka on the right, and then Nwaneri as the centre forward?
Potentially, I mean, Mikel said it plenty of times. Look, Saka comes straight back into this team when he's fit. Make no doubt about it. He's walking back into this team when he's fit and he's ready. The fact you've got Nwaneri there allows maybe to ease Saka in a little bit rather than throw him straight in. But when he's fully 100% fit, he starts this game. Yeah, but Nwaneri, Mikel has talked a lot about him, but every time we ask him about it now, he's always like, "Yeah, I do think he can play that, but in a bit of time. I think he's a bit reluctant to do it straight away as a 17-year-old to move him out of position to play him up front. Um, I mean, there is the option of potentially moving Martin Odegaard over to playing sort of the left eight role and having Nwaneri playing where Odegaard plays now, so closer to Saka. So there is options there. I mean, it's going to be a difficult decision. It's a good decision for Arteta to be in. Unfortunately, it's still some way off, but it's definitely something he's going to have to consider because I struggle to see how you leave Ethan Nwaneri out of this team, given what he's producing at the moment, week by week.
Yeah, it'd be nice for Mikel to have a good selection dilemma in
Yeah.
attack as opposed to forced to play three players every week as he is at the moment. But we spoke about, you mentioned there about Lewis Skelly, how it might be a sort of a different type of player to Ethan. You've also said about Lewis Skelly being the best English left back in England right now and should be a shoe-in for the England squad. Could Nwaneri follow? I mean, I know he's not even made his debut for the under 21s yet, but you look at Kobbie Mainoo last year, went straight from the under 19s to the first team for the Euros, did really well there. Obviously, he doesn't look like Saka will return in time for the next round of England fixtures. So, should Ethan be in contention for the England squad?
I don't know. It's a tough one. I was talking about this the other day, and it's a tough one. I expect Miles Lewis-Skelly will be in it just because I don't think there's many other players in that position at the moment. England aren't exactly blessed with left backs. I think Lewis Hall will probably be in there as well. But England have got a lot of good sort of attackers, wide attackers, and I don't think there's a necessity to throw Ethan straight into that sort of England bear pit just yet. Take your time, ease him in. Like you said, he hasn't even played for the under 21s yet. There is the issue, the fact that Saka's not going to be fit. I think Noni Madueke picked up an injury the other day as well. So two of England's sort of regular players who can perform out on that right hand side aren't going to be available. So maybe Thomas Tuchel will be thinking about it. I mean, he's clearly one of the best players in his position at the moment, English players. So you would think on that grounds, then he should be in the squad. But I do think you've got to take your time with these kids as well. He's played far more minutes for Arsenal than I was expecting him to play this season. And to then suddenly go straight into the England setup and having everything that brings on you, maybe it's not the best idea. But ultimately, it's going to be down to Thomas Tuchel, and he'll be thinking about it. And he must be tempted because you'd be mad if you're a manager and you're watching him do this week in, week out in the Champions League and the league and thinking, am I going to put him in the squad? As a manager, you're thinking, yeah, I probably should. But I do think his age and experience and everything like that needs to be taken into account. So it'll be an interesting one.